Okay, well, just when you thought we were taking the summer off, we're going to summer school, I guess. Too much going on to ignore, right?
Pretty much. Trent
Soccer from sun up to sundown.
Trent dubbed it the summer of soccer. So
I figure all our viewers thought we were out laying on a beach, just taking a break from all the hard casting we did last year. Um,
that's what we did last semester, before the summer.
yeah, true. So, yeah, we didn't earn it this year for sure. So, we're taking driver's ed and podcasting. But having said that, there is more than enough going on, almost more than if you're in the middle of the regular season and tournaments and what have you between Gold Cup, between the Super Cup, is that what we're calling it?
Mm-hmm.
Club Super Cup.
Mm-hmm.
And
Club World Cup.
we're going to go over the EPL, partially go over the EPL fixtures that were released overnight and anything else that's going on, including the soccer bash that we've got this coming weekend up at Social Capital. So, yeah, I think we
Woo!
all agreed to start with the USA, who is obviously in a bit of trouble with the fans, with the world, with everyone. And thank God we got a hold of a Trinidad team that the parts I saw just aren't very good, but forget it, 5-0, right?
Yeah, pretty dominant.
What stood
Yeah, at
out?
this point, I think you got to take a victory any way you could get it with those guys at the moment. But
Correct.
yeah, Trinidad sucked. It was in where were we at? San Jose, I believe. The attendance was kind of crappy, which that's another topic we can discuss here in a little bit. But yeah, you want to go out and score 5 goals and win and put some haters to rest. I think after those two friendlies, people were kind of questioning what the hell's going on. And as Dave said, U.S. soccer's been kind of the center of a lot of talk here, who's not here. So yeah, they went out and won 5-0. That doesn't hurt to silence some of the critics. Trinidad's horrible, but you can only beat who's in front of you, and you didn't give up a goal, so that's great.
Yeah. So who stood out? What during the other than the 5 goals, who stood out in the run of play that really made a difference in the match, made us a better team?
Yeah, I think Malik Tillman ended up with man of the match. He ended up with 2 goals. Uh, he's our boy over there at PSV right now. Diego Luna was pretty good in my opinion. Our keeper didn't have to do much, but it was not Matt Turner,
Right.
so that was interesting to see. He didn't have to do much. Again, like I said, it was Trinidad, but we pitched a shutout, and our left back Max Arfston had 2 assists. We had a striker get a goal at the end, Ajimong, and then Haji Wright subbed on and got a goal.
I
So
liked his goal. The other ones were a
yeah,
little
that was a nice goal.
couple deflections, but Haji's got good vision and good placement, and he read where the defender was. The keeper was kind of shielded, and he just slotted it very nicely
Yeah,
in our corner. So that was a nice goal.
Yeah, I liked when Haji came on and I thought Tillman stood out. Luna had a chance kind of early on and didn't quite take it, but I think the
yeah.
keeper did pretty well to block his shot. But I do like what Luna brings to the table. It just seems like Poch is trying some things. I think he realized some things were maybe stale after some of the losses. Seems like he's, I don't know, maybe trying some new people, just seeing if he could, get some sparks, get some energy out of these guys.
I agree. He seems to be trusting Jack McGlynn and
Hmm.
Diego Luna a lot, which are two MLS guys. McGlynn's got a hell of a left foot. He's the one that scored that goal in like the
Yeah.
first minute of that Turkey match.
Right.
And he can put a really good ball in. So he's been leaning on those guys. It looks like in this squad. Of course, Chris Richards is there and Tim Ream, starting at both center backs. So we've got guys that have been around, but it seems like he's kind of leaning on a lot of these MLS guys, which is interesting for us to see. Even though they might, oh, that's a good shot. Even though we might not see these guys start in a World Cup match, they may be on the roster. Um, it seems like there's half these guys like starting to fighting to make the roster, and half are trying to get noticed at the same time. So
I think
it's a
we
Yeah, I
decent
may.
think I
mix.
think Luna's got no problem. I think he's
Right.
definitely in. Seems to me, I have to watch more of it though, but I was always left wanting with somebody like Aronson who did a ton of work, a ton of running, was a shithouser, and
Oh yeah.
at a motor that didn't stop. Luna seems to have more purpose behind what he's doing. I know Aronson came in, right, and even scored, I think.
Yep,
Yeah,
he did
he
come
did.
in. Him and his brother are both guys that I definitely think have a chance, both of them, honestly. Even Paxton. Aronson depends where Poach wants to play him and how he wants to play him is his big issue because, like you said, a guy like Luna is a little more technical and is better on the ball than Aronson, but Aronson's a guy that works his ass off when you need him to. So just to see where he fits, I don't know, but yeah, those are guys that are fighting for a spot right now. So this summer means a lot to him.
I think we make too much of a big deal about who's MLS, who's overseas. Like at some point, you just got to pick who actually does something in the uniform. I mean, I don't care. I don't care where they're playing, who they're playing for. Like whoever shows up every time they put that uniform on and actually gives a decent performance or, a great performance, put them in the squad, let them play.
Yep. That's what a lot of people are waiting for Tillman to do because he's been tearing it up at PSV. He was,
Yeah.
team of the season over there in Holland, but we never really saw it materialize under Berhalter, which who's to say he got the right chances then? But yeah, to your point, Malik Tillman's one of those guys that never really played that well for us, but played well for club. Johnny Cardoso is another guy like that as well.
And maybe that's what Poch is doing. Maybe he's just seeing, all right, who's got the passion, the effort, to actually do something every
Yeah,
time, and that, he maybe doesn't have to babysit as much.
Well, there's a lot
I
of
agree.
players that aren't being babysat because they're not even here. So,
Exactly. Speaking of babysitting, did you guys see the back and forth between Pulisic's dad and then Donovan came out and said something on his podcast with Tim Howard and I mean they just kind of responded and stuff and
right.
I just thought it was interesting the back and forth.
Dempsey even got involved with that. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure and said something about Donovan. So, points to be made, right? But I mean, what did we say in the last podcast? Ronaldo plays 40 plus games, whatever it is. He's showing up in Nations League and giving all he has. So even that well, initially when Pulisic was like, my legs, I'm like, you know what? I kind of get it. Then when you compare apples to apples, everyone to everyone, he's got no ground to stand on. And like you said, Trent, unless he's really hurt and he's just not really saying much,
Mm.
I don't think he'll ever do this again. We can't afford to have him do it again because we're now officially less than a year from the World Cup.
Right.
So no more
Yep.
bullshit.
But I think
And
his
it
dad had the right
to
to
your
call
point,
out Donovan a little bit because of Donovan's, history. But I
Right.
get it. Donovan's also, he's got a podcast and they're trying to build up,
Of
their
course.
audience. And so they're going to say things like, I get it. I get it. But at the same time, I think his dad was right. Like he could totally call him out and be like, look, you did the same thing. What are you talking about?
Right.
that was a funny part. I agreed with kind of everybody at the same time.
Right.
I think I disagree with the message that was being put out and how it was put out. Like, dude, just be honest one way or the other. They were kind of all beating around the bush. Um, it is what it is. If you don't want to show up, you don't want to show up, man. And I think Pochettino kind of put that to bed. He said, if you want to show up, this is how you're going to show up, and this is what we're going to do while you're here.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, then that's your decision. You're not going to be here, which is fine with me.
It does sound like there's previous history, though, since McKinney and Pulisic have both declined to come on to their podcast and do anything with, Howard and Donovan, which I find kind of interesting because, those are legends of U.S. soccer. So I'm surprised that the new boys don't want to, even just do an interview with them.
Well, I think that says a lot. Dave might agree with me. You probably will too. That says a lot about their personalities in this generation on how they're just a little bit different than what we're used to in the past, especially at the national team level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think most importantly, there's got to be a team spirit and some real leadership with this team. I thought that was lacking in the last World Cup. Everyone just kind
Hmm.
of, from what you hear, they loved Greg, I guess, and he kind of let them do their thing. And when there's not enough of an element of discipline and just unity and spirit, it's not enough. And America historically, our fight is what's been so impressive. Guys from the MLS or whether they were overseas. Back in the 2002, there probably wasn't that many guys overseas anyway. So, we just, there is something to be said about being American and having American pride because we're a newer soccer nation by world standards, and
Oh yeah.
we got to have that identity, what we bring to the game, and who we are as people in this country, or whatever. But yeah, it's going to have to solidify and come together within the next few months, 3 months, 2 months. I don't know. I mean, this Gold Cup is really just go win it, and build the momentum and the positivity, no matter who you're playing. Like I said, can't control who you're playing. If you win this, that's all that I think we need to put any of this recent past stuff behind us and just go, all right, only way is forward. We're going to be, 11 months out from the World Cup. Get it done.
I do think we have a valid complaint though, because like you said, 11 months out, we don't have many opportunities to come together as a full squad until then. I'm not saying you have to go balls to the wall at Gold Cup this summer. I get that. But we don't have many opportunities to get all these guys together before it really matters next summer. And that semi pisses me off about some of the guys that chose not to show up.
Right.
I guess is my whole take on it.
Some of the guys,
But it is what it is.
if they're going to go play in the Club World Cup, I mean, I kind of get that. I mean, I don't know. I don't fault them too much for that. But if it's just to take a break for whatever reason, then yeah, I think you can critique that, ridicule that.
Yeah.
So, yep, we've got Saudi tomorrow night, who, quite frankly, I didn't get to watch all of their match, but they beat Haiti 1-0. They've carried over their coach from the World Cup, or Herve Renard, whatever his name is,
Herb
who's,
Renard.
who's got a lot of experience going way back. And so I don't know enough about this Saudi team now to know
Yeah,
what they
it
can do.
was
They were decent in the World Cup. I mean, I think they'll always be halfway decent. So
that's why I was kind of confused. I think they might have some guys at this Club World Cup as well because they're ranked, I know, like 50th, 55th. So
yeah,
that's not a great team, but it's also not a Trinidad team at the same time.
yeah.
So you know there's at least some good players around there probably playing in a decent league. But yeah, I was not very impressed with them versus Haiti. I was expecting them to have a similar result as we did, like a 5-0, 4-0, given their past history and their manager is a pretty damn good manager, as you said. I don't know much about Haiti, but I'm not too worried about that match on Sunday,
Right.
if that tells you anything. But yeah, it's down in Austin tomorrow night. Probably going to be hot as hell, so no
They'll
real
love that, the
advantage because
Saudis.
Saudis are used to that. But
Yeah.
yeah,
The
if we win 3-0, 4-1, that's probably realistic.
the Club World Cup teams are not used to the heat so far. It's been funny to see their complaints. That guy said his toenails hurt. That was hilarious.
Yeah, that's a pretty good transition. Speaking of the Heat, these Club World Cup teams, some of them are not handling. That was Atletico Madrid of all teams, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Was that
yeah,
Lorente
he
or was
was.
it
It was
DePaul?
your yeah. It was Llorente said he couldn't feel his
Yeah. He
toenails
couldn't
when
feel his
it was so
toenails.
hot on
They
the
had
field.
a they had a red card, correct? Didn't PSG beat them 4-0 or something?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
They
PSG
got
dominated
carded.
that match.
Yeah, they did. They
And
looked really
Inter and
good.
There was
Monterrey
a
tied.
They did. Yeah, that
yeah,
was Monterey
that
looked
was
all
last
right.
night. I told you, man, they're like a tournament team. I feel when they get in these league play is kind of weird in Mexico, but when they get in these tournaments, they always make it to the semis or the finals of it somehow.
Hmm.
When they've usually got a good squad of local guys that all know how to play the same way, play together. So, and they've got a manager who was a former player. It's kind of like a local legend. So, yeah,
How many
I knew
teams
they
made
wouldn't be bad.
this?
I think 32.
I think there's 32, yeah.
So
They
it's going to be basically
yeah,
a
they did
World Cup
the
format where the top two from each group advance, and then you go into round of 16, so on and so on and so on.
Yep.
yep.
I've been a big Boca Juniors fan for a long time, so I'm pulling for Boca.
Dude, they had a hell of a turnout and a hell of a match versus
They did.
Benfica
They're
the other night in
passionate.
Miami.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. That's why I don't like people complaining about the Club World Cup being here because when we get teams like that playing each other, that's an all-time club matchup right there. But Benfica versus Boca Juniors
Yeah.
in Miami, like I don't know if it gets better than that. Like a random club matchup, and we got that here in the States. We
It
should
is
not be complaining whatsoever.
it is cool to watch these teams that you never get to watch. And they're really good in
Hmm.
their respective countries or their respective, continental tournaments. And so it is cool to kind of see them. Now we're going to probably have some major blowouts, but I think we're going to have some of these South American teams actually do pretty well against some of the bigger teams from Europe, which will be pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, obviously the
Yeah, I
initial
agree.
complaint, which we all kind of talked about, is how much is enough. I mean, finally in the off season, you're throwing these club teams and players right back into the fray. But now that it's happening, and now that you're seeing the diverse matchups that you would never see, it's kind of like, well, I don't know how Monterrey is going to play against Inter because it's just not a matchup that ever happens. So now you're pitting teams against each other that where people would be go, oh, Inter would kill them. Well, they didn't. And so there's a lot of questions being answered, and obviously
Yep.
the last team standing, the question will be answered. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I just again, sometimes when the money starts talking and the legs start getting abused, I question it. But too late now. It's here. Nothing you can do about it but watch.
And if you see these squads people are putting out, it's their first 11, first 12, 13 players, they're having to play their best players, so they're not taking it lightly, even in the group
Yeah.
stage. So
So
They
speaking of that,
it's worth
they
watching.
want the
It's worth
money.
watching. Yeah.
how did Chelsea look in their match with LA? It was 2-0.
We did fine. Yeah, 2-0. We were never really in danger, uh, giving up goals. They had a little few spurts here and there, but just kind of controlled the match. We made our subs in the second half. We brought on some of our new players, which was good to see.
I thought
Modric.
Delap looked good.
Attendance was a big. Delat looked like a striker, which I haven't really seen that much of at Chelsea in a long time, like an actual nine. So
Yeah.
it'll like drive the ball and make runs and stretch the defense. Pedro Neto, I'm like, how is this guy still playing soccer? Because to your point, Dave, where are his legs? He just got done with Conference League straight into Nations League. Now he's
Yep.
just right back at the Club Cup. And hey, I guess you're making a lot of money, so you're running your ass off out there. But he played really well. He had a really good goal. It's actually a good ball from Nico, so that makes me wonder if we're going to play Nico a little bit differently while we have Delap in the squad or on the field together. But
So what do you mean?
all
Like
in all, it was
he'd
all
be out
right.
wide or what?
Yeah, I'm thinking we might try to move. There's rumors we might sell or loan Madueke out because he's got a lot of offers. A lot of people are after him, and I'm wondering if that's just a loaded position and they might bank in off him right now.
We'll take
Because we're
him.
bringing in some other guys from Brazil. Two Brazilian guys are going to be on our squad this year. One of them's an attacker, and he's supposedly one of the next great ones from Brazil. He's about 17 or 18. He's at Palmeiras with this Club World Cup right now, so we'll get him after this. So I don't know. We'll see how we play with Delap if we start him up top.
On a 10
I'm
year
looking
or a
forward
12
to.
year contract, Trent? How long?
Yeah, probably an 8 or 7. I guarantee it. Yeah,
Those contracts are crazy.
guarantee
They
it.
crack me up. Just gonna keep them forever. But hey, I mean, you guys get them for a long time, then you can sell them because they're so young.
Making a lot of money off them if they don't really use them.
I saw I
It's
saw
weird business.
I saw a thing today that over the last 10 years, for every $5 or euros Chelsea has made, United's only made $1. I mean, that's how bad United have been at selling their players and their assets over the last 10 years. But when you don't
Yeah,
play very well, like United has been very inconsistent over the last 10 years, that's what's going to happen. No one's going to come in and be like, "Oh yeah, you guys have been
yeah.
performing
Oh,
great. Let me pay top dollar for this player." But also, we've been getting like old superstars kind of at the end of their career, trying to get the last couple years out of them. So no one wants to buy those guys either at the end when they're,
Like
33,
Casemiro, who you got the
35.
last
Yeah.
3 5 years out of.
Yeah. So yeah, but yeah, it was just an interesting, and I fully expected that. If somebody brought something up like that to me, I was like, oh, I can almost guarantee Chelsea's doubled, if not tripled, what we've been doing because they know how to sell players and United don't.
Well, I guess that's the thing, the culture of our clubs right now. Obviously, we haven't potted since Thomas Frank joined Spurs. And
oh,
so,
I didn't even think about that. That's
yeah.
right.
How do
And
you how do you feel about that, Dave?
I'm happy with it. The analogy,
Excuse me. Last time you said you
yeah,
wanted Ange in for at least 5 or 6 games.
because I don't know how to react when I get a trophy. Okay, it's a new thing. I had to let the hard on come down a little bit
And
and get
he's the
back to
manager that
reality.
got you that trophy.
I know, but we all know that his body of work in the league was completely awful, no matter what was going on.
Yep.
And the board looked at that. Thomas Frank, the reason I like the hire is that number one, I like his attitude. And the kind of the thing I've been telling people about is the guys that came in prior, Mourinho, Conte, uh, don't count Nuno because he was only there for like 8 games.
Mason, Ryan Mason,
Um, and
Ryan.
Poch, or not Poch, Postecoglou only really knew about winning. They didn't know losing. And as soon as Conte got on a team where they weren't going to invest and they already had a losing culture, he didn't know what to do with himself. Point in case in point, he went to Napoli and won it, right? So Mourinho too. Those guys just don't understand, and they've never been thrown to the Lions, which is Tottenham.
Dave
But
McTominay won it, not
yeah,
not Conte.
but my point is, Thomas Frank was in a
Lukaku.
small market. He came from below and brought them up into what, eighth position, eighth place, whatever it is. So he's not been at the top of the mountain to where he's coming in and they're like, oh, these guys won trophies. That's why we're bringing them in to bring this winning culture. I think it's coming from the other direction. And he's a very diverse coach, unlike Ange, who pretty much had one style that was predictable, and it was, hey, try and outscore us, which everyone did. But Thomas Frank, he
Not
adjusts.
United. We lost all four
Yeah,
times.
true. Throw yourself under the bus. But no, he's diverse. He adapts to the game, to the opponent, and so I've been so tired of these one trick ponies that come into Spurs that are counterattackers or whatever it is that they're trying to do. And now we've got somebody that's going to just size things up and play accordingly. And he may bring some more working class, hard players with him, some Danish guys. Obviously, we're in a fight with you all for Mbuemo, who was all but at United. And now, as soon as we made this hire, the rumor is that he's willing to go for half the wages to Tottenham just to be with Frank. But
Yeah,
Yeah, I was
yeah.
going to ask you about that. Is he going to bring any players with him? I saw that rumor. I mean, they have
yeah,
Champions
that's the
League,
big
so
one is Mbuemo. I don't think Wissa is out of contract, but you know how that works. If whatever goes into making things happen, money talks, which I don't think we'd get both of them. But if you look at any Spurs news articles, that's the big headline is that's the next player that we're fighting it out for. And he's got the automatic connection with Frank. So it's on the front burner.
Yeah, yeah, it's been kind of an interesting turn of events. But yeah, I think Frank is a good hire. I mean, we'll see, like you said, what happens when he's at kind of a bigger club with a little bit more pressure. And I'm sure, the big expectation is to try and stay in Champions League after this next, or for this next season. See how far you guys can go in Champions League this next season, and then try to get into the top four, top five, and make it again, and then build from there. So it'll be interesting. But
And
yeah,
Son,
whoever gets in Buemo, I mean, I think that immediately improves either of our squad.
right. Son is on the way out. I'm sure he'll be in Saudi or he'll be somewhere, but I think we're done. I think that's over. It's
That's
been a good
probably
run.
that's probably best. I mean, going out, winning
Yep.
a trophy, he's been a legend for the club.
Right.
So it's probably a good way to go out and move on. And he was kind of being used more sparingly last season, right?
Yeah.
So
So, I mean, so yeah, I mean, right now everything's looking up, I guess. The fact that it feels new, it feels like we've got someone that there's not a whole lot of pressure now. I mean, you get Mourinho and Conte, and there's a lot of pressures. Like we're going to be Champions League top four. Like I said, this guy, there's some unknowns, even though he's done well at Brentford. I don't know. I just like the positivity going forward, which, as you all know, can get wrecked pretty quickly in North London. But
I felt the same way last summer. So just
yeah,
just beware.
yep, yeah. I'm
But
pretty
but but
tough-skinned when
you
it comes to this stuff.
you guys did the smart thing and got rid of the manager that wasn't doing well enough after winning a trophy. We
Right.
kept him, and then had to destroy the whole season.
So
So
yeah, I guess around the horn, you guys, your clubs.
um
hopefully we win this thing we're in.
Yeah,
yeah, isn't it if like the whoever wins the whole thing will end up with like 100 million in prize money or something? It's like a
$100 million
lot.
dollars prize money. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. Our next game is we play Flamengo? Brazilian team? Who is it? Brazilian team, I think. We should easily run our group, of course, but I don't know if we're going to beat the PSGs or the Man Cities that are in this as well. Man City played today and only won 2-0, and
Two,
Madrid tied
2-0.
1-1. So
Yeah. Mbappe was
Madrid
sick.
tied
Man City
who
had
did
a player
Madrid
get a
play?
red card. That
Al
Oh,
guy,
Madrid
Hilal.
played.
Al
Yeah,
Hilal,
Al
isn't that the
Hilal.
big team that buys everyone like Ronaldo and
Yeah.
everything?
hmm
did you see the red card City got? Rico Lewis.
I
Oh, good.
did. His cleat kind of caught that guy after his tackle.
And then he was in shock that he got the red card. And I was like, dude, your follow through, like your foot was real high. I know he didn't mean to, but you
That's what I
can't really
said
do
too. I was
that.
like, it doesn't matter if you really mean to at that point. Kick the
No.
guy in the face, damn near.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Losing
hopefully
mind.
this Club World Cup we win. Yeah, we got Flamingo on Friday
Ooh, I like
in
that a lot.
Philadelphia. That'll probably be a good crowd for that. We only had like 22,000 at that match on Monday. Um, well, that's kind of expected because LAFC had about a week and a half to prepare to schedule that match. They didn't even know they were going to be playing in it,
They didn't?
and it was a Monday afternoon.
How did
Well,
they
I'm
not
saying two
know?
weeks prior to that. No,
Oh.
there was an open spot, and they played a 1 game playoff against Club America for the spot in this group
Oh, that's right. That's right.
because of the Lyon debacle.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, just going through
But
it, group A through H, it's just almost hard to keep track of. It's a
it's a
lot.
lot.
Well, we
Juve kicks off tonight too.
yep.
McKinney and Weah, who were with Donald Trump today at the White House, by the way.
Oh, were they? In
You
regards to
should check
what?
out those. You should check out those pictures after this.
What were they doing
They
there?
were they were doing some photo op. They were literally in the Oval Office behind Donald Trump, like half of the Juve squad, and
Okay.
Tim Weah and Weston McKinney are just chilling right behind Donald Trump. Their game's in DC tonight, so they were doing some sort of FIFA club promotion, but I don't think awkward even does it
Oh,
justice on
I'm
how
sure.
weird that shit looked, man.
How many different
But
sites are they at? They're in
a
LA,
lot, man.
Miami, Philly, I think New Jersey,
Yep,
uh,
Seattle.
Seattle.
I think
Is
Texas as
Chicago?
well.
Well,
Cincinnati has one, I know.
the Gold Cup is in Dallas right now for
Gold
this
Cups in
game.
Dallas, and yeah, there's soccer all over the country right now. It's hard to keep track of, like Dave said. There's so much going on right now. Just turn your
Mhm.
TV on at any point of the day, and there's a match in some major city in the U.S.
Yeah, I downloaded DAZN and set up an account just so I could watch some of these matches. So, because some of them are
Same.
on regular TV, but some of them you have to go through the app. So didn't
Yeah,
want to.
yesterday I think Dortmund was on early on. Giorena saw 0 minutes there, so I
Huh.
pray to God that guy gets out of there to find
You got to just come back to
some
the
sort of.
MLS and play.
Yeah, at what point do you do that? Seriously, like who's going to take you a year out before the World Cup from now? Like,
Yeah,
I don't
they
know.
were playing the Bellingham brother, trying
Yeah,
him
I
out.
saw that. Job.
Speaking of German clubs, I guess Bayern Munich's got a plus 10 goal difference.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
they dominated.
Auckland's got a high hill to climb to get back in this.
They're one of
Yeah, they
like
really need to pull it out next match.
I think they're one of the lower ranked teams in the whole club World Cup.
We've
So
Uh,
got,
the word is they should be considered amateur. These guys have regular jobs and they're playing Bayern Munich on
yeah,
a
right.
freaking Sunday afternoon.
yeah, one
Hey,
of
Doesn't
them
seem
just
like
fair.
glad to be here.
I saw one of the goalkeepers is like a shelf stalker somewhere, and so
Oh yeah.
but it was like a big deal to him to be able to play against Neuer and all that. So be quite the trip. He said
So
he's having
yeah,
to.
I woke up this morning. Sadly, I'm going to be over in the UK in September for 2 weekends. So
Oh,
Sweet.
overnight, I was anticipating learning where the Spurs home matches, who they were going to play. September 3rd or 6th, international break, and September 13 is the day before I leave, and it's West Ham at West Ham. So I could go be a part of that
That's in
culture,
London.
which is really nasty, and just figure out how I'm going to do that day. So I'm sure it'd be at a pub somewhere. But anyway, it's disappointing that we have home tickets through one of our members, and so I had dibs on those, and it's not going to be a thing. I could go see the Man Derby. It's on, I think, the 13th, the day before I leave, and if I'm in Liverpool, I'm just not very far away.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I'm sure those
That's that
tickets are
city that
it's at the Etihad. I don't really want to go there. Either does anyone else.
yeah,
But
the schedule release did come out, Dave. Yeah.
chances are I will be at the Everton Aston Villa match because my friend he's an Everton member or whatever. His significant others from there, and they have access to it. So chances are I'll be in that new stadium.
That's cool. Check out
Oh,
the
I
So
new
didn't even
that,
think
Everton
of that.
Stadium.
Yeah, that's right up on the water there.
yeah,
That'll
that'll
be
be that
sweet.
first year. I'll take it.
Wow.
So yeah, we've got Burnley at home for our first match. So we have no excuses for
Burnley?
not getting 3 points there.
We have Arsenal right off the bat.
First match?
First match, opening weekend
Woo!
on
Home
Sunday
or away?
at home.
Wow. Do them, Alan. Do them.
Hey, what? 2 seasons ago, 3 seasons ago, it wasn't the opening match of the season, but it was our opening home match with Ten Hag and Anthony and everybody, and we actually beat them.
Yeah,
But
Liverpool kicks it off on that Friday.
I
And
think I,
then
th I think
I'm just
this.
glad to be playing on Saturdays again. That's a beautiful thing. Anytime you get stuck in that Europa League, you're on the Sunday, and
Yeah, I hate the
I just
Thursday
can't go to
Sunday.
church then.
Exactly. Exactly, Dave. But no, I hate the Thursday Sunday. And, since we decided to take a break from European competitions this next
Yeah.
season, we get to play whenever you guys, want to schedule us. Fridays, Mondays, doesn't matter. United can play.
Okay.
It'll be great.
Wow. You got a short leash, a long leash actually. That's great.
Yeah. Speaking of my squad,
It's called
um, we nothing's really happened. We finally got Cunha through the door, and then we're in for a striker. Shocker. So there's been a lot of talk of Gyökeres and Osimhen and Ekitike. I'm probably messing. He
Yeah.
plays for Frankfurt. Um,
Yeah,
he had,
he's a
he
good one.
he had a really good season, but they want like 100 million for him, and I think you could get Osimhen or Gyökeres for less. Um, I like both. I like all the options. I think my preference would be Osimhen. I'm not sold that Gyökeres would be able to do all the goals that he has been able to get in Portugal consistently in the Prem because he's just been
Oh,
able to
so
kind of
Oshman,
bully people.
he
But
didn't he get loaned out to Turkey or something? He was at Napoli,
yeah,
I think.
Napoli and him just are not at the just are at odds for whatever reason. He like pissed him off last
I
summer,
would
and so
nab him. The guy from Frankfurt's good. I got to see him a couple times in Europa League. He's really good as well. So,
yeah. You know who I'd really take is Isak from
oh,
Newcastle. I
I
would
think
love to have
everyone
him.
would.
Yeah. But the good thing about Osimhen is, he scores all sorts of goals. He can score with his head, with his feet. I mean, he's just a goal scorer.
ass.
Yeah, his wiener doesn't matter. He'll score with it. His earlobe. Um, and that's what United needs. I mean, we the last 2 seasons have been atrocious because of lack of goal scoring primarily. So. But yeah, I would love to get in Bumo as well. So I mean, if somehow we pulled off Cunha, Bumo, and a striker, and then we maybe look at a right back and a midfielder, I mean, I'd be thrilled. It looks like Onana's going to stay, so I'm not super thrilled about that. He's going to, shuffle in some goals somewhere at some point when we probably don't want him to. But
Boy,
but I guess we'll
They
leave that
all do.
for another day.
he's a mess. Yeah, your problem,
Maybe
not mine.
maybe with a better squad in front of him, I don't know. Maybe he'll get more confidence and all of a sudden because he's not playing like he did at Inter. So if we could get that Onana back, that would be
Right.
nice. But yeah. So we'll see. Uh Trent, you guys were in for a keeper, but now you're not anymore.
Not
Or you might
anymore, I
be.
don't think. They keep the Serbian
Yeah, we're
guy or
not.
whatever.
No, the rumor is we're letting him go and we're keeping Sanchez. So
Ugh.
opposite of what I wanted. I was like, all right, well, whatever. Um, I don't think we're going to sign a keeper anymore. Be due to that, but I'm not too worried um, about him at the back. We had some center backs not healthy all season, so like West Fofana still on our team. People forget that guy.
Yeah.
He's always hurt though, so it's like he starts
Same with
for
Lavia,
us if he's
right? But
healthy.
he's a defensive mid,
Yeah,
but he seems
so
to
I'm
always
like
be hurt.
I'm gonna reserve judgment on Axe in the keeper position, but until we have a actual this will be year 2 under Maresca. If Sanchez sucks after this season and he costs us the title or top 4, I you move on from him. But I don't think we're there yet. I don't think he's that bad at all. He has a really good save percentage at least in the league. Um,
His mistakes were obvious, or they were noticeable.
yeah, the beginning of the season he was pretty bad. Like he just like drop a ball coming across the box, and you're like, how do you just fumble one that hits you square in the hands and just right to a striker's foot? But those kind of diminished towards the end of the season, and he got better. So I'm not ready to just call him trash and move on from him yet. Let's give him another season.
Well, it'll be interesting to see, especially with us. Now it's Thomas Frank. He's got to decide which players fit in the system, which ones don't, which ones were probably on the way out anyway, or if he likes them and now wants to keep them. There's a lot when when you turn over managers. There's a whole new perspective on who fits and who doesn't. So I'm excited to just see that play out. Um, there's obviously players I'd love to see go, but maybe he's got a vision for some of them.
Levy, man, draws
Does
a hard
Christian Romero
bargain,
stay?
so
Oh, I mean, all the talk was Atletico, and Simeone wants him to come. And Romero, apparently, out of all the players that were mad about Ange being let go, he's the one that's leading the charge, which may be a play to even make it easier for us to sell him. But yeah, that's at least the headline is that he's really unhappy, and he was already out the door. Obviously winning a trophy and being in Champions League would at least appeal to him. I'd love to keep him, but yeah, odds are that he'll go to Atletico. But then again, at what price? Levy's not going to just bend over, obviously.
what do you think your top areas are to try and improve, Dave?
To try and improve, well, we've got to have a number six. Again, we switched systems, and that was the big player, the pivot under Ange's system. So now that that's less of a thing, I think the wingers are really important in what Thomas Frank is doing. And I guess we re-signed Matthias Tell, who's from Bayern, and
I
I
saw
think
that.
we did that hastily because we thought we were going to lose Embuemo, and so we went and got him. Um, so if we got Embuemo, I think that would cover the wings. Obviously, a striker. I really like Solanke, and it's to me it's hard to judge any of our players by the Ange era. I don't. Uh, I think we're going to play a more traditional style of football, a more adaptable style of football. So some of the guys that may not have been receiving praise or that we wanted to get rid of may actually be just fine. We're going to be a little bit more ordinary of a team and less
Pedro
conceptual.
Porro.
Less conceptual. I end up liking him. He got better as the year went along, and he's all heart. I mean, that guy he's fired up everywhere he goes, and so
He was starting for Spain the other night in their Nations League.
He was.
yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, every area, to be honest with you. But I do need to kind of look at it myself and go, oh, this guy will fit Frank's system. This guy won't, because we may have a lot of players that already plug into it. Um,
Hmm.
so totally different now. Always need a right fullback, left fullback, two of them. I'm happy with Poro and Udogi out on the left and right,
And
but
Spence.
yeah, well, we do have Spence, I guess. So yeah, I would take a right fullback, and then we have Danzo, who's our center half. Probably use one more of those,
Yeah. Trent,
and
what do you
just give
look?
me
Go
some
get
Danish
Anthony
midfielder
Robinson.
that's played for Frank.
What'd you say,
Go
Dave?
get go, go get go get your boy Anthony Robinson.
Yeah, go get Robinson.
Be all right with that.
He's a
Trent,
he's
Trent,
a
what
outside back on the move.
Trent, what are you looking for Chelsea to improve?
Man, we got a striker. I was pretty hopeful we got someone up top, and like I said, we got some loanees that are coming in, so it's going to be like a new signing. Um, Andre Santos was in the French league last year, and he made the team of the season there. So we're calling him back, and you'll see him in the midfield. Um, I'm trying to think if there's somebody out there that I'm like, yeah, go get. Not really at the moment, unless something crazy happens with one of these other strikers that I think are overpriced, which you kind of mentioned earlier. There's big asking price on some of these guys that haven't really done it at the top level, so I'm weary of that. That's why I was pumped we got Delap for like 30 million, because he's a young striker, and that's less risk we take with our cash. Not
Yeah,
my cash, but you get the point. Um, I would I don't know, maybe another left back, but I think one of the guys we just signed can play left back. We actually signed him like back January, and he just joined the squad this summer. So
yeah.
mainly, I don't want Cucurella, I don't want Caicedo, I don't want Enzo Fernandez having to play every match. So if we can get some depth behind those guys, um, I'd feel better.
Cucurella has really turned his. I mean, I thought he was
Yep.
kind of dead and dusted out there, and he's turned it on. Now he's playing for Spain again. I mean, he looks good.
Alan,
He's
I
a
would
baller,
assume
man.
you're trying to replace Casemiro. I would think that would be your biggest, other than
Yeah,
a striker.
yeah. I would think we would United would definitely need a number six or sort of that defensive mid that um, Amram likes to have in the midfield. I think what they're trying to do is if we were able to get Mbumo or somebody else that's more of an advanced forward behind the striker, then they drop Bruno to be more of a midfield sort of progressor, and then we'll need someone to be able to cover the ground. Ugarte can do that, but Ugarte is so sporadic with his passing. He has he has good games where he's good at passing, and then he has bad games where he gives it away two or three times in the midfield, and the other team is on us,
Yeah.
threatening to score. And so you just need someone more consistent playing that role.
N'Golo
So
Conte.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Um,
Not allowed. Not allowed.
so anyway, yeah, that would be a big one. But there's just so many spots, that need improvement. So that may be somewhere like the goalkeeping position where we just kind of have to try and get by for the next season, and then maybe improve in January or in the next summer transfer window. Um, but Trent, to your point with Chelsea, I was kind of leaning towards. I feel like Chelsea could use like a borderline great to world class center back to just settle down the defense because your defenders are pretty young, right?
Yeah, I think Colwill and Fofana are fine. Colwill's an England regular at the moment, and we've even got Chalobah there as well, and he's with England too.
I
I don't
think
know if
they're
there's
all I think they're all good and
I don't know if there's one
young.
to sign, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, maybe not.
I don't think
I
there's one that's going to come in and just impact right away.
I think
He's
they're all good.
we were really good towards the end of the season defensively.
Yeah, I just wonder if maybe, against some of the bigger teams, if you just have that, solid.
That's
Because, like
I'd
City have Ruben Diaz, of course you have Van Dijk at Liverpool, just those guys that you can trust and rely on in that spine of a team.
Dan Burn.
yeah. I think if we can
Dan
keep
Burn, yeah.
Colwill if we can keep Colwill and Fofana on the field, or Colwill and Tosin, or that's actually a really deep position body wise for us. I think Colwill is the guy,
Yeah,
obviously, and then
yeah,
it's who's ever playing the best or healthy this season was playing next to him. So
yeah.
I don't think a signing needs to be made, but yeah, I wouldn't mind it. That wouldn't hurt. I just don't know if there's one out there for us to go get at the moment, but certainly wouldn't turn it down.
Sure,
Certainly wouldn't turn it
sure.
down. I would be
Yeah,
interested to see even who's available at the moment. Does anybody know?
I mean,
Center
That's the
backs
deal.
wise?
It's kind of
depends
hard to get a fix on
depends on
on
depends on how
that
much money you're
mix.
going to give up, right?
I mean, if you're a top club, you'll pay what the hell ever. So
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you who the best one on the market is, to be honest.
Yeah, and I feel the same way about Man United's center backs. I feel like we're pretty deep. We have good ones. If Martinez can stay healthy, that would be
Hmm.
that would be a big improvement. But even some of the youngsters, Euro and Heaven that we have, they've looked awesome. Delit, looked pretty good, but he wasn't able to fully stay healthy either. But I'm not too worried about the center backs, kind of like Trent was saying. But we definitely need some help on the wing back positions. So we'll see if they could sign someone on the for the right wing, that would be awesome. There's potential that he may use Ahmad out there, which would be kind of interesting. He played there some last year,
Yeah.
but to
Yeah.
play him more consistently out there, because you just think of him as more of a forward player. So for him to play sort of a defensive slash forward role will be interesting. But I think Amram again next season will kind of have to make do with whatever squad he has and just, fingers crossed, hope for the best.
What kind of uh what kind of lifeline does he have? I'm around like what point during the year if it's not working out do they?
It's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, I think if, United are sitting in seventh or eighth by October, um, you could definitely keep going down or you could go up from there. I think they would probably keep him.
Yeah, I
If
agree.
if we're in the bottom half by October, and just getting drummed by the top teams, 3-0, 4-0, whatever, then yeah, he's definitely going to be on the hot seat because, this last season he had a kind of a free reign, just do what you can, but I don't know though. This season, because this would be his first true season after a summer transfer window and a preseason, maybe they still give him a bye up until, after Christmas to see what can happen. Because even under Solskjaer, there were some times that we didn't do great for the first half of the season. Then for whatever reason, the second half we pushed and made top four or made it to the Europa League final, stuff like that. So there's a chance. I mean, I know this is a new regime over Amram, but maybe they'll let him. So it's honestly, Dave, it's kind of hard to read. It's really hard to kind of read because this is Barada's guy. Barada wanted him at Man City, and Barada brought him to Man United now, and
Yep.
so it'll be interesting to see what kind of leash he's on.
Still early in the summer too. A lot of things can happen until now and then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. But I am curious to see what happens with Thomas Frank. I want to see what kind of team he puts out, see how Tottenham play under him, see if he can kind of have the same effect that he did with Brentford. I mean, because
Well,
I'm,
and
I'm just saying, if you guys go from 17th to 8th, that's an
right.
improvement.
Yeah,
That's a
I
hell of
like
an
I said,
improvement.
every manager that's come in has been reduced to reacting like a fan. Where Conte beats
Yeah.
Man City one week, and then the next week we lose to Burnley, and he's being interviewed and he's almost crying, and he's like a fan, like, "What the hell did we do?" Thomas Frank, that's his biggest challenge. That if things aren't going his way, or if they're not investing in the club, is he going to turn into that? I don't think he is, because I said he's not coming from a spoiled position. He
Right.
wasn't from a big club, so I think he has a little bit more to be grateful for. And but that will be the test, is because everyone's after Spurs. Everyone makes fun of Spurs. The microscope is on us. What happens when the microscope's on him and we've lost three in a row? Is he going to wilt or is he going to just keep rallying the troops? Because the other managers just started crying, including Ange. Just, oh, I don't know, mate. It is what it is. No, you need to be motivating your players because you got a game coming up, not crying about it.
Should they bring back spankings? Should they start spanking the players to try and motivate them, Dave?
I don't know that that ever went away. It's just behind closed doors.
We just don't hear about it anymore. Okay.
Maybe that's why Deli
Noted.
The
Ali
day
is so fucked up. He got spanked a bunch.
that was the Jose treatment. Do
Yeah.
the Danes speak? Thomas Frank's Danish, right? Do the Danes
Yeah.
spank like that?
I don't think they do.
It's a
I
little
think when they were
softer.
Vikings, they did, but that
Yeah.
was like at a Viking funeral.
It's a little softer of a spank. A little soft. Um, so what are some other big signings? Let's see. Wirtz went to Liverpool. Frimpong, I think,
Yeah,
is
I
at
was just trying to look all
Liverpool.
these up.
Trent went to Real Madrid. Trent
He's
Alexander.
gone.
Um, I mean, for like what, the third or fourth season in a row, is Arsenal going to finally sign a striker? I mean,
No, 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 they don't need it.
there's talk that
De
Bucharest
Bru
wants to go there.
Yeah, I saw that too. I
It's
don't. They
gonna.
need a striker.
Oh, they do. They do. Havertz is not
De
going to cut
Bruyne
it.
left.
Yeah, De Bruyne is
De,
gone.
Bru-
Yeah.
He's out at Napoli. Jorginho left Arsenal.
Isn't Modric
He's
done
playing in the
at
Club World Cup.
Real Madrid?
That was the rumor, but he's playing with them right now in the Club World Cup. But the rumor was him to go to Milan once the next season
Yeah.
begins.
Yeah.
Modric should have been
Um,
a MLSer. So should have De Bruyne.
Damn, I'm still waiting, baby. I'm still waiting.
They'll come.
Didn't
The lap
KDB go to didn't KDB go to somewhere in Italy?
Napoli. Yeah.
Napoli? Yeah.
Uh-huh. He'll be playing next to McTominay. That's a damn good midfield right there. They,
Yeah.
they might repeat the freaking title with Lukaku's big ass up top.
You know what amazes me is no one's talking about trying to buy Martinez from Napoli. That guy's been great for like 2 or 3 seasons, and no one's talking about
Yeah.
trying to go for him, which really surprises me. But we'll see.
I'm scrolling transfers right now. Yeah, Verts is the big one to Liverpool.
Right.
Alan, I'm stupid. We've already signed a center back this year, but he's 19, so nobody knows who the hell he is. Um, but no, yeah, Verts Liverpool. Is that the most expensive signing to
Yeah.
date now?
Yeah. And it's the most expensive
After
in Prem history, I think now.
yeah, I think yeah, that's what I meant, Prem. Yeah,
And it's
I
just
think
so
he's a
easy. There's never any question about it. Like Delap going to Chelsea, never a question. There's no where it's going to Liverpool. It just happens.
Mhm.
Everything in my club is painstaking. Are we going to get him? Are we not?
Well, but
It's not
Liverpool
like
didn't
Liverpool to splash
buy.
cash like that.
Yeah, Liverpool didn't buy last season, so they were ready to pounce as soon
Yeah,
as possible, I think, you know. They'd probably been lining it up for a long time. But yeah,
I
I'm the
think he
same way,
was
Dave.
in.
We United take forever. What were we saying,
Yeah, if
Trent?
you get your business done, if you get your business done early, that's big. Yeah, I watched him play against who was that in the semifinal of the Nations League?
It was against Spain.
Spain.
Portugal.
Yeah,
It was
one of
Portugal?
those red. It was one of them because they made the final. So, but yeah, he's a good player, but I thought he was really small, if that makes sense. Just like frail, and I don't know if he's gonna be able to bang around in the middle like that in the Premier League with all these sixes and these center backs banging against him. That's a lot of damn money, I thought, for somebody of his. He's a great player. He hasn't really wowed me like, oh my God, like this is one of the top five players in the world.
Yeah.
But they paid the money as if he is one. So
They
I'm interested to
can.
see how he adapts, I guess, to the style of play here because Kai Havertz was looked at similarly when he left Leverkusen, and his style of play did not really match the Premier League at all. And
Same with
Chelsea had to
Sancho.
figure out a different, yeah, they had to figure out a different way to play the guy. So I'm interested to see how he pans out this first season and if he struggles.
I've seen some
But
highlights
I,
and he
I
can
know there's quality there, but
yeah, he's skilled on the ball. He can dribble, he can
Mhm.
pass. But the thing with the Premier League that always surprises people, and you know, you hear former players talk about it all the time coming from different leagues, you don't have time on the ball. They're on
No,
top of you like that.
Mhm.
And they'll
exactly.
body you off the ball if you take too long, you know? And it's not always a foul. Like other leagues, it might be a foul. Here or in the Prem, it's not a foul. So you gotta make a decision and you gotta know where everybody is and do it quickly. And I think that's what, you know, I listened to a podcast where they're just talking about, you know, all sorts of different teams. And they were saying, you know, Liverpool's hoping that he comes in and provides some because there's so much activity down the right side because of Salah. They're hoping he can go down more the left. I don't know that he's going to be necessarily like a Diaz winger or anything like that, but at least he can, you know, be in that midfield area, bringing some pressure onto the left side and bringing some offense that way, and maybe take some pressure off the right side, so they can be a little bit more
Pulling the
balanced.
defenders elsewhere. Yeah.
But we'll see.
I,
Like
I
you
might
said,
also have buyer's remorse from Germany, though. We've had
exactly.
Nkunku and we've had Timo tear it up in Germany, and they came over here and couldn't hack it. So
Yeah.
Well, Alan, you made
I'm
a
always
good point
I'm
because
always interested to see that.
we were trying to break down how United and Tottenham actually worked their way through Europa League and why they were so terrible in the EPL. That's your answer, is they have more time on the ball. It's less physical. It's slower game when you go to Central Europe and Southern Europe, and you have time to do the things you want to do. And I think that was huge for why we advanced in those tournaments.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. But surprisingly, United have been struggling
Same
in
for
the
us, right?
yeah, yeah, you were down there in the conference. You did
Yeah,
it.
we did it. Hey, we did it too, man. Yeah,
You didn't even need to win that though.
Trent, you guys
we
played a bunch
did.
of plumbers and lawyers until the semifinals, so calm down.
So did Bayern. I don't want to hear anybody fucking yelling about that.
Um, yeah, I think surprisingly though for United, like they really struggled, like I told you, Dave, coming into the Europa final. Anybody that sits back, I mean, it gives them that time and space. They just can't break them
Yeah.
down. Um,
It's a
but
lot of
yeah,
teams, though, man. I feel like a lot of teams have an issue breaking down teams on a low block. That's different players nowadays that aren't creative enough to do it.
yeah, and you know that's where like a plan B, like when United had Fellaini, was kind of nice because all of a sudden you have this giant dude that can head the ball, or you know he had the best chest control of all time, and he could just bring it down with his chest and make a quick little pass in the box, and all of a sudden you got a chance for a goal. But not everybody, you know, thinks that way and does that. That's why I'm fine with throwing Harry Maguire up top when Amram does that because he's just a unit. Also, when he's out on the wing, no one can stop him, so it's pretty fun to watch.
When in doubt, go to the 4-4-2, baby. Lump it up there. Screw
That's
it.
right. That's right. Um, but yeah, I'm trying to think like what else we could expect, from some of these teams. Because yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if Arsenal finally do buy a striker. Liverpool might already have their, summer transfer mostly
Hmm.
done. I'm not. Man City has spent already another like 150 mil or something on like. Don't they have like three or four players through the door already?
Yeah, I saw a couple signings and I didn't really fixate on it, but it wasn't surprising.
I
Yeah,
didn't really dig into who they signed, but it's some names I can't pronounce. So I'm like, okay, I'll look for him in October, I guess, sometime.
and I think they're younger and they're just hoping that they continue to develop because they've been looking good, at their respective clubs, but they, want to
They'll be
develop
a
them further.
they'll be a problem next year again. Don't They were kind of banged up this year. They played with a half healthy De Bruyne, so that might have hampered them a little bit. Who knows?
Well, and
Maybe
I
a
think they're
fresh midfield.
weren't their defenders injured a fair amount, like Diaz and stuff for part
Well,
of the
yeah,
year.
and
So
Rodri Rodri's out the whole year, so
that guy's not even
don't
good. Who cares?
don't count them out next year. I've got them in like the back of my rearview mirror. Not that I'm ahead of them, but like
Yeah.
them starting this all over one more time. I don't want that to happen.
Do you think Chelsea can do a title push, or do you think they're still too young?
I think uh, no, I think we could do it this year. Yeah, Liverpool were good yes last year. They weren't outstanding.
Yeah, they weren't
Everybody
great.
else was just worse than we're used to being.
Yeah.
And it took a we fell off. You guys were awful. You guys were awful in the league. Arsenal crapped the bed at any moment they had a chance to gain any traction on Liverpool. City had their worst season in 5, 6 years. Newcastle still doesn't really get going for a full season. Um, so Liverpool just were just the better team from day one to day whatever, the end. But I don't think they were just like one of the best teams we've seen in the Premier League. So
Nah.
for,
Can Salah
for a
keep
team
this
like
up?
us who finished fourth, that's another thing. For a team who finished fourth, like you got to think we have a shot at it because they weren't just outstanding. And then who knows? Yeah,
Yeah.
does Salah get 30 goals again this season? Like
Yeah.
I
At
don't
his
know. I
age,
think we have
he
a
could fall
shot. I
off.
think we have a shot just like Arsenal does. I'll put it that way.
That's a good analogy. Yeah.
But it could be four teams. I mean, it could be Arsenal, City, Liverpool, and Chelsea all next year, really trying to vibe for it. I would imagine towards the end, you might have one or two of them kind of taper off. But yeah, I could see
Yeah.
four teams really going for it. And then,
Are you more worried about City or Arsenal next season,
City for sure.
I'd say
Dave?
equal. I'd say equal.
Equal.
Yeah.
If Arsenal signs a top nine, then that'll change my opinion. I'm sure. No, it won't. No, it won't. It won't change my opinion.
But that
Nope, it
number
won't.
nine needs to come in and hit the ground running. If he hits the ground running, then
Yep.
I'd be worried about Arsenal. If he, takes half the year, then that might be too late. Arsenal might already be out
The
of it.
last the last striker to just show up and dominate was Holland, and I haven't seen anybody do it like that in a while. So
And they're in for
yeah, I'm
Sesko
not.
right now. I mean, Gyökeres maybe could hit the ground running for him because they're a pretty well-oiled machine. But yeah,
Mhm.
like you said, they just
Good.
crap the
Yeah,
bed when they have a chance to actually gain some ground.
they had moments to get within 6 points and put some pressure on Liverpool numerous times in the spring, and they would just lose
Blew
at
it.
home or
Yeah,
draw, Fulham or some shit. You're like, all right, you don't scare me.
yeah,
I
yeah.
would imagine United's not going to finish where they did last year, nor Tottenham. So Europa has to be Europa strictly through the league has to be what you guys are looking at, just based off last season's table place.
Yeah, Amram has a track record. Granted, he's only done it at Sporting. Well, he technically it was a lower league, but he did it at a different team before Sporting. But basically, when he takes over, it's awful. And then once he gets a bunch of players out and a bunch of players in that he wants or that he knows he can use in the positions that he and in the formation he likes to use, usually things turn around. So we could see a giant, a huge turnaround. United could be fifth next year. I don't know. That would be amazing. But I don't trust that. I don't really trust the players, so I'm definitely not putting any money or, holding my breath
Yeah,
waiting for that sort of
Well,
turnaround.
it's
you give us about a month. We'll go sit in the backyard with cicadas, and we'll have our top eight picks, our relegation picks. It'll be year three, and this time we're going to get it right, by God.
Isn't that wild?
we're gonna
We've
get
almost
Ricardo.
done. Yeah, let's get Ricardo. Isn't that wild? We've almost done three of these, or
I
we'll be
know it.
going into a third season. It's kind of crazy.
Doesn't feel like it.
I know. I know.
That's awesome. Yeah, I
Anything
would
else?
imagine you guys don't finish in the same spots. So
Yeah, no,
again,
I
it's
I
it, it's
agree.
it's early June and there's still signings to be made. And hell, we're still got Club World Cup and Gold Cup, so signings are definitely gonna be made after that. Those tournaments wrap up, of course. So
Yeah, you would
Well,
think.
we can sign back in, and maybe after the Gold Cup, or even during whatever. We can keep it rolling based on the progression of the U.S. team. I think more than anything, and any big signings, things like that.
Should we talk about Soccer
Su-
Bash one last time?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. Yep, we're going back out to Social Capital. This is basically us three putting this on with Social Capital, not really American Outlaws or anything like that. Um, Everybody knows if you're watching this that we do these fundraisers. It's been a while since we've done one. We've all been kind of damn busy, so it's hard to find the time and the cause who's all available at the same time to get this done. And old Ryan Noah at Social Capital's always down to hook us up, and he said he'd host us for the raffle for Blue Angels Academy, who we've raised money for before. We got some raffle items. I got some jerseys, some soccer balls. I know Blue Angels is donating some of their swag as well. So
I got
yeah,
some
more
Nike
soccer
gear
swag that we're
coming,
going to
so
raffle off for them.
What
Alan's
time
gonna
does
get some
this
Nike
start?
gear. The match is at 6, so we're gonna do the raffle before at 5. That's I'm telling everybody the pre-party, just hour
I'm
before
gonna
the
say, I hope
match
there's no
starts.
game
We'll get it done.
seven because
And
that would be bad.
I mean it
yep,
might actually
that's
help
the
the
other thing.
raffle. But
It could help the raffle. That's true.
Good point.
Everybody'd show up.
Yeah, if it goes to game 7, that's like 7:30 that night. So luckily the US match hopefully will not be that important. I was like, look, man, it's soccer. We might need just one little corner of a TV for like that 2 hour
right,
span, and then after that, we're Thunder
might be
fans after
overrun.
that. So yeah,
If
because
that
Social Capital
happens,
does it big for Thunder games.
if that happens, we can't give anything to Pacer fans. It's just not allowed. So even if
Nope.
They're
they,
just not allowed in the bar at all. Yeah,
yeah, that's good. That's good.
yeah, but
Um,
Social Capital is family friendly, and this is a youth soccer club, so I think we all felt it was appropriate to have a family friendly function where they could actually show up and see the raffle and partake in it and see what we're actually donating money for. Because I think it's the right thing to do and spread some love and spread some dough around the soccer community. So yeah, we'll be back out there Sunday. Please
at
come on out.
at 6
Should
o'clock,
be a fun time. Yeah,
or
the
will
match is at
we?
6. I think
We'll
we're gonna do
be
the raffle at 5
at
with
5. Yeah,
everything going on that day, possibly. We're just gonna plan for 5 just in case. We'll
yeah,
play it by ear, but we'll raffle that stuff off and watch the match.
yeah. It's for a great cause. I mean, I really like what the Blue Angels are doing, and I like how they run their club and stuff. So this is a. I'm glad we're raising money for them again.
Yeah, I think it's important to have that stuff in communities. Like we all love the top soccer and all these big clubs across the world, but there's people here in the States doing it on a different level and growing it for other people too. And
Yeah,
I'll support that any damn day of the week.
yeah, for sure.
I'll be there for the soccer moms.
Dave, we'll have you with like a little sign
Yeah,
and it just says Blue Angel, yeah, with a
raffle
little arrow.
me, raffle
That's
me.
We'll
how,
raffle
yeah,
Dave
you
off for
just
sure.
take your pick as they walk by you.
Yeah, that won't happen. Nobody will bid.
Date with a Raider? But
By
yeah,
the
it should
way,
be
All right.
fun.
by the way, Trent, do we need to call you VP from now on, or How's that work?
Yeah, but yeah, you better, dude. Yeah, I did take over the American Outlaws vice president position. So, do you see any of that going
Was
around on
it
your social medias?
was it a coup to get rid of the last VP, or how'd that work?
They actually reached out to me like the last World Cup, and I wasn't even really an active member. I think I was a member, just a paying member, but nothing really happened. So this time around, I knew positions need to be filled, and with the damn World Cup coming up in our country, I don't want to let that fall through the cracks again. So
Yeah.
if anything, we can organize watch parties together and have some cool events leading up to it. That's mainly my goal, and just doing cool stuff up until the World Cup and hosting World Cup parties. But yeah,
Sounds
if you want
good.
to join American Outlaws, let me know.
Sweet.
Cool deal.
All right,
Well,
guys.
get this one up in the air.
Start the music.
Watch some soccer.